This episode is brought to you by Farmers Insurance. When was the last time you reviewed your insurance policy? It's been a while, huh? Well, no worries. My friends at the Austin Brummett Agency would love to hear from you and provide you with some amazing rates. Give them a call at 678-402-8262 or email them at abrummett@farmersagent.com. That's ABRUMIT at farmersagent.com. And tell them Harley sent you. You're listening to Inside the Bubble with Harley G, the podcast for the superwoman. Every week, we connect with amazing individuals who share their inspirational experiences and stories while motivating and inspiring purpose. It's time to hang your cape. Grab your coffee, your water, your cocktail, and come on inside the bubble with me, your host, Harley G. Hello, insiders. This is Inside the Bubble with Harley G. I'm your host, Harley G. And I'm really stoked today about the conversation that we are going to have. And so today on the show, I have Sherelle with me. Sherelle is actually a Pilates instructor. And let me tell you guys, I actually took a Pilates class. So, I'm into fitness. I've always involved in fitness, right? I've always worked out, ran, and I tried Sherelle's Pilates class, and I was so challenged. I was just like, what is this? My body was moving in ways that I don't think it's ever moved before. But it felt really, really good. But if you have not tried Pilates, I highly encourage you to do it. It's just a different way of moving. It's even impacts your mental. Because it's just like, it takes you out of your comfort zone and you're just doing things that you didn't think your body would ever do. So I was really challenged when I took her class, and we're going to talk a little bit about Pilates and just kind of like the whole well-being and what it does for you. But first and foremost, I want to go into just introducing Sherelle. So Sherelle, thank you for coming on today. And I want you to talk a little bit about your story, and meaning, how did you get into, you're an instructor now, but was that always the path or your journey? Did you know that's what you wanted to do? So tell us a little bit about your story.
All right. So I kind of got in Pilates it kind of just fell into it, honestly. I was doing a lot of strength training and weight training, things like that, to really just take my mind off of a lot of things that were going on at work. I think I just got to a certain point where I just felt like I wanted more. And so I think one of the programs I did had a Pilates as a rest recovery day. And I tried it and I fell in love with it. Okay. And I just was like, I have to do this.
Okay.
Like, this is the thing.
So let's just rewind back a little bit. So you were working in corporate America. Okay. So that what were you doing?
I was doing administrative work in higher education.
Okay.
And that's primarily what the kind of work I had done for 10 plus years.
Okay. Perfect.
So the transition to even just working out regularly for myself was just not something I was doing. I was doing a very sedentary work every day. And so it really provided me an outlet to really find myself. And I just really found that I loved focusing on with overall health, well-being, but then it actually made me think about doing it as a career. And so I was like, people are really doing this like as a career? And I think that's what really got me into saying, okay, I want to do this like full time. Okay. This is what I want to do. Like, I want to change lives in a different way.
Okay. So you're working in corporate America.
Working in corporate.
And it's okay.
It's fine.
It's fine.
But...
Okay. Not down in corporate America.
Right.
I'm in corporate America too. Right? So you're working in corporate America, and you're really kind of thinking, is this really my purpose?
Right.
Okay.
Right. Is this my what else could I be doing? Is there something else? I always felt in my role that I was helping, because I was working with students and everything like that in higher education. So you get to impact lives that way. But am I really impacting like people? Like, am I doing what I'm supposed to do? And I just felt like I could do more. So when I found out you could actually teach and do Pilates as a career, I was like, that's what I'm gonna do.
How you began your wellness journey, meaning like going into working out. You started out with, what was that program called?
Beachbody.
Beachbody.
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
I got into it by Beachbody. So a friend of mine from church she was a Beachbody coach.
Okay.
And so she would talk about it all the time on her social medias, and it was just she just seemed so happy. And I remember just seeing her post like, oh my God, like she was in corporate America too, but she was doing this on the side. And it was just, I was inspired by her and her excitement for it. And so, I started doing Beachbody with her originally. That's how I kind of got into fitness and all of that. But then I just got to a plateau where it's like, okay, what's next?
It was like, how long can I maintain this, right?
Okay, this is great, but what else? And so, like I said, one of the Pilates recovery days just kind of got me into it. So I took an actual Pilates class at a local gym, and I was obsessed. Like, because I got to get on the machine, the reformer machine. And the reformer machine, like Harley talked about earlier, like it's a totally different beast.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And I thought I was so strong. Like, I've been doing all this strength training.
Yeah.
I'm great.
That's exactly what I thought.
Oh my gosh. That Pilates instructor challenged me in ways I had never been challenged before.
Exactly.
And she really just kind of mentioned that they were doing a teacher training coming up in the next few months, and that I should just come check out. Even if I don't do it, just check it out. And that's exactly what I did.
Okay.
And so that kind of started the pathway to becoming a Pilates instructor for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you know Pilates is the thing that you want to do, right? So how is it, like, how do you know it's not Zumba or it's not, I want to be a dance instructor? Like, how did you recognize Pilates?
Pilates was going to be for me.
Yes.
So I would always kind of research. Once I realized I wanted to do something in fitness and wellness, and I realized that I wanted to kind of pivot careers, I started doing my research on yoga, on Zumba, like all of these things. And even Beachbody had one called PIO. They had a certification for that. So I researched all of them. But what I found out was that those things were really good supplemental things to do outside of your work, but not really full time. And the more I looked at Pilates, the more they talked about this being a career, how close it was to physical therapy. The salary matched what I was looking for, because if I'm going to pivot careers, I need this to make sense for me and my family. And I took a few yoga classes, and it was okay, but I couldn't see myself teaching yoga. Zumba, it wasn't for me either. Okay. I mean, you've got to find the thing that kind of
works for you. Right.
And the Pilates, it just spoke to me, like standing up, teaching people how to do something, and then watching them do it. For me, that was what I loved about it.
Okay.
And sustainable for your body long term.
Right.
Like as far as being able to stand up and teach for years and years and years.
Yeah.
So that was kind of how I fell into it. I was just like, this is something, and it connected. I mean, you do need to pick something that connects with you.
Right.
And the yoga, Zumba, nothing else really connected to me. And Pilates was it, and the training, all that went in, the anatomy part, all of that, that makes it so close to physical therapy and really gives it the accreditation. That's really what made me kind of lean into Pilates.
Okay, you found your calling in essence, right? You're like, okay, Pilates is it. Yes. And then, now you're an instructor and you're making a good amount of money and everything's good. I'm sure it didn't happen that way. Right. Not quite.
Right. Oh, yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about what that transition was like. Because I feel like, okay, there is finding your purpose. And then there's the journey to actually walking in that purpose.
Yeah.
And, some people might think, oh, yeah, I'm in my purpose and it's all going to be easy now because it's what I'm meant to be doing. A part of it is, right? But then there's a process to that as well, right? Definitely. So it's like, and sometimes that process doesn't happen overnight. It takes a minute.
Right.
It takes a minute. So talk to us about that transition. Once you found your purpose, now it's like the journey on, okay, I know what I want to do. How do I get there?
Yes. So, like anything, you really, like I said, do your research, and then when you think you've done enough research, do more. Dive in. Don't just Google.
That should be a quote. Do your research, and then when you think you do some more.
Because there's always more, especially when you're, like, I was just so green in this area. Like, I was in corporate world that I knew like the back of my hand, and I didn't even have to turn my brain on, which is part of the reason I wanted to do this, because I felt like my brain had been turned off. You know,
that's good.
And I needed my brain. I'm a creative, so I need my brain to be turned on. I mean, I was a blogger in my previous life, so I need.
Yeah, you need to. Yes, perfect. Right,
and that's kind of why. That's another reason I chose Pilates, because I was like, oh, I can. I mean, you can really insert yourself in. And so, my plan was to get my training done through this gym, and then the promise was, when you finish your training, you can come work for us and start your career.
Okay.
So my plan was to kind of transition slowly at first into this. Maybe do it part-time after work. Maybe do it on the weekend, something like that. But as soon as I finished my training, I found out that me and my husband were going to be having a baby.
Oh, life-changing.
So, yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Super life change. Right in the middle of right as I'm finishing up this certification.
Yeah,
boom.
So you're going to 2 major transitions in life. You're trying to leave corporate, and now you're having this life-changing situation where you're starting a family.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 2 new things that I'm just on green in all these areas.
And is this during the pandemic?
This is before.
Right before. Okay.
Yes.
All right.
So we're right before all of that.
Okay.
So, this is different. So now on top of that, I'm getting this certification, which I do want to do that. But now, how do I make this work now that, my mind is now a little different, because is this going to work? Because now I'm going to have this baby. So how am I going to do my job, and then come teach Pilates afterwards, and then teach on the weekends, and I have this little tiny human.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So what I did was, while I was pregnant, I just did all my teacher training, because what you do when you get your certification, but then you have to do teacher training before you become a full-blown teacher. So you get your hours in, you're practicing on any and everybody that will allow you to teach them. So I did that up until I was so big and I really couldn't move anymore.
Oh, wait. Was your husband like the pilot?
Yes.
He was like the demo that you were?
Yes. He was my guinea pig.
He was your guinea pig. That's right.
So, I'd have him on that mat. And and he's a big, guy.
Yes.
He's on this mat, and he's used to lifting these heavy weights. So in his mind, he's thinking, "Oh,
this should be a piece of cake, right?"
And I'd get him on that mat, trying to get those words out. And if you've never taught Pilates, classical Pilates, to get the wording out.
Listen, there is an art to being an instructor as well. There's just to me, from an outsider looking in, there's so many moving pieces. So 1, you have to make sure that you find the rhythm of the class. 2, you have to pay attention in case somebody is out of sync, out of whack, needs help. Then you have to make sure that people are getting what they need to get out of the class as well. I don't know how you guys do it.
It's learned. It's just a lot of working with a lot of bodies over and over and over.
Okay.
But he really was my motivator. He was my muse through this whole process, allowing me to use his body to learn what I needed to learn. And I remember him doing demos with me at this gym. He would come and say, "Okay, Sherelle, it's Saturday. We're going to get up. We're going to go do demos. We're going to stand up with this sign. You're going to get people on this reformer." We had a reformer set up for people to come and try Pilates and see if they would want to take a class from me. We did this every Saturday until I was about 36 weeks pregnant.
Wow.
So that's how we spend our Saturdays. So not going out having fun.
This was your fun.
This was the fun. Because,
this was date night.
Yeah, this was, okay, we're going to the gym.
Right.
And so we did that, up until I just was I can't, physically, it was just got too daunting for me. So I finished doing the demos, and I filled up as many classes as I could up to that point.
Okay.
So I think at that point, our plan was to say, we're going to try to do Pilates.
Just drop corporate America altogether once you have the baby.
Right. The plan was to say, okay, he's going to work full-time, finish it, do his job. He's in corporate. He's got a really great job. It's great. So you'll just, you'll do Pilates, and we'll transition you into Pilates instead of going back.
Right.
For maternity leave, you'll just do this, right?
Okay.
I mean, they're promising this great career, right?
Right.
Why would I not? So I have the baby, and, you get towards the end of your maternity leave, and you're like, okay,
this is happening.
This is a big decision.
Yeah.
Do I make this email? Do I write it out? What do I do? You're just really thinking.
Ooh, your finger is just hovering over the send button.
Yes, it's a big. It's a life-changing decision.
It is,
and it affects everybody in this house.
Right. Exactly.
And so, I just pulled the trigger and and I did it because I'm just like, well,
Yeah.
I mean, they're promising these great things and
Yes.
they're saying they have a lot of interest and buzz here for Pilates classes. So I told my job I would not be returning after my maternity leave and I was going to be full-time Pilates instructor.
Okay. Ladies, I know there's so much to do and not enough time in the day. Trust me, I'm right there with you. But what are you doing for yourself? Well, I've recently discovered Body Bar Pilates. Let me tell you a little bit about it. Body Bar Pilates will challenge all of your major muscle groups and provide you with a full body workout. Wow. Listen, I had to check it out. I took a class with Sherelle and it was amazing. They have workouts for all skill levels, whether you're just starting out or you're just looking for a new way to move your body. This is the community for you. Check out my friends at Body Bar Pilates East Cobb or give them a call at 678-941-4371. And don't forget to mention me, Harli G.
Wow.
Okay.
So, yeah, that was terrifying.
Yeah.
Because you have this stable, even though, I'm looking for something more, you still in the back of your head, well, this is stable.
Right.
I know it.
Right.
I know what's coming. I know what to expect.
Mm-hmm.
Great. But I'm leaving that for a lot of, I don't know.
Right.
Like, I don't know. Like, this is new.
Yeah.
But I was thinking, but also I can be with my baby because, I can choose my hours, right?
Yes.
They're telling me I can choose my hours. I can be the mom I want to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I can, do all of that. And then kind of come in and work. Our plan was that he work his 9 to 5. He come home. I leave, teach 2 or 3 classes at night.
Mm-hmm.
I come back. Oh, that's easy, right?
What's not easy about that?
Piece
Come on.
Cake, right? Oh my God.
We got a plan.
Right. That's the plan. Stick with the plan. It works.
Yes. And then the plan happens.
Right. And then things, life, and you find out, there's really not a support system here and the interest is not really what they said it was. And, the person who promised you all these things, he's no longer at the company. And just a lot of trickle-down effects that started to happen.
Right.
It's almost immediately after I decided not to go back to my full-time job.
Oh, my gosh.
And so here I am going, okay. Mm-hmm. So you have a new reality now.
Yes.
Right? So your plan is not really your plan anymore. So now...
So did you have second thoughts?
I mean, as soon as I found out that the guy who told me all these wonderful things about this being my career,
mm-hmm.
I found out he wasn't going to be there anymore, my heart kind of sunk.
Yeah.
Because I was depending on him to kind of,
be a mentor, guide, yes.
So, and I'm like, because it was myself and another girl who had done the training program with me, and
uh-huh.
we were excited. We were thinking, oh my God, she was trying to do the same thing.
Right.
And so it's almost like the rug just got snatched from under our feet because we were both trying to transition careers, and here this guy who promised us these things is not here.
Right.
And so now there's no support system for building up your classes. The pay is nowhere near what we were told.
Oh gosh.
So here we are, these 2 moms
mm-hmm.
trying to transition careers, and we're like, oh my God, this is unstable.
Mm-hmm.
And here I have this, for me, I have a newborn infant at home, and I have to come to my husband and tell him,
we have to talk. We have to talk.
Houston, we have a problem. A huge problem, And the good thing about him is, and I would tell anybody this, is to make sure you have a really good support system.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that you're communicating with never make
a
decision
that
no.
Yeah.
Make sure you're communicating throughout this whole process.
Mm-hmm.
Are you okay with me transitioning careers? What does that look like for our household? Are you okay? Make sure, don't just make, and every decision we did make together.
Perfect.
But of course we were under the assumption that this was just going to work because
what was told to you prior.
It just sounds like I would have never, I always go back and think about it. I would have never, we are those people who need to know what's happening a month out.
Yes.
So to kind of have this happen was just like,
we have no idea what's happening right now.
Just was like, oh my God, I'm not used to not having control over my life.
Right.
And so, he's like, no, we're going to, it's going to work. In his
mm-hmm.
mind, he is gung-ho that this is going to work. because I've seen you do all this hard, like, this is going to work.
Yeah, he's vested into this now. Like he's leaned in.
Yeah.
He's all
like,
the way
this
there.
Is what we're doing.
Right.
We're going to go up there and talk. And
that's amazing, by the way. Like, when you have a system, it almost sounds to me like he believed in it more than you did, maybe at some point.
Mm-hmm. A lot of times. Probably still sometimes. 6 years later, I'm still kind of like, man,
that's amazing.
Really into it. Like, right? Like, he's like, I mean, every week he would say, okay, is this, he's just trying to figure out why this is not working. Like, what can we do to make this work? And so, I mean, you got to think, I have a baby in July, at the end of July, and in October, I'm done with maternity leave. So, we are literally looking like by mid-October, like, okay.
What are we doing?
I don't know. What are we doing? Like, at one point during that time period, I'm going back to look at full-time corporate jobs again.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
Because I'm like, in my head, I'm like, no, this is not
okay.
going to work.
Yeah.
I have a newborn. And so the incredible thing when I look back at it is the amazing amount of support that I got within my household. Because I would not have been able to maintain this career this long without that. And I would tell anybody that, like, get a support system, whoever, whether it's a spouse, sibling, friend, whoever it is, mentor,
parent,
because you need that.
Yes.
Like, when you're making life-altering changes in your life, especially in career, you need support. And so his grandmother actually helped us with the baby so that I could actually go teach the classes that I did have at this gym, because I did have classes to teach. And she would actually help us with the baby, so we didn't have to put her in daycare. I didn't have to worry about childcare while I'm going through this process, which is, that was an amazing blessing in itself. And so it allowed me to, even though I wasn't making the money that I wanted to make, and I wasn't the instructor that I thought I was going to be in the beginning, I was able to hone my skills.
Yes.
Right? Like, I'm like, if I'm going to be here, I'm going to be here.
You still felt like you were working towards your purpose, right?
So, like, I'm still here.
Yes.
Like, I'm still doing it. It doesn't look like what I thought it was going to look like.
Right.
But, I was able to still do it. And so, things did not get better for a while. And so we're in this place. I'm continuing to go to this gym. I am still applying for corporate jobs because I'm like, okay, how long can I sustain doing this?
Right.
How long can my family endure this type of instability, I guess you could say, like, until, I need to stop.
Yeah.
Right? And it just seems like we did that for a while, and my husband really just pitched in and took over and did, he did extra jobs. Like, he did so much to make sure I could keep doing this.
Yeah.
Like, he was like, it doesn't matter, and I'd be like, did you see my check? I'm sorry, did you see it? And he's like, it's fine, it's gonna be fine.
So rewind a little bit. So explain what was the first paycheck, what you thought it was gonna be? God. And when you saw it, tell me how you felt about you. Like, talk a little bit about that. Not without putting all the,
I feel like you need to know especially when you're changing careers, you need to understand the ins and outs of how that career works. If it's new for you, you go to a corporate job, you negotiate salaries, you do all of that, and then you have the job, what your
consistently this is my salary's going to be with benefits, without
that every month it's the same and it never changes.
Right.
Especially if you're going into the fitness industry where everything is commission based.
Right.
Understand what that means. The ins and outs of commission. So is there a base pay to go along with that? What is that base pay? How much is the commission? Does this studio receive a portion of that commission? Like, you need to have it written out.
Wow. Yes.
There needs to be a conversation and then a written document for everybody. I did not have that. It was spoken to me of all these amazing things, but I was never be so hasty to get out of one situation that you take something out of that haste. Okay. Right? Yeah. Like, oh, my corporate job, this is so bad and so stressful, but you leave that hastily and not realizing you don't really know much about this. And people can promise you all sorts of
the world,
things, right?
Yeah.
You can say anything.
Right.
But I had no written proof, and so by the time I get this, like, everybody's looking around like, what's the problem? This is how it is. Like, you need to be here 60 plus. Our trainers are here 60 plus hours a week. And I'm like, what? Like, I'm just like, this was
60 plus hours a week?
Hustling for clients.
Ooh,
and I'm like, it's a hustle. So the business is a hustle. the job is a hustle.
And then
I was hustling.
You're having to, right. So it's a hustle and a hustle and a hustle.
Yes.
And then you have to find your own, like, it's not like the studio or the gym, wherever you are, is actually providing these clients for you. So you're having to go out.
No resources, no marketing. You have to, and then, they don't know who you are. You're new. They don't even know who you are. And so, I mean, this is months of me doing that until, it got to a point where, like I said, I was looking for a corporate. I was like, I'm just going back to corporate. I'm going back to what I know. I'm going back to what I know is stable. It doesn't matter if this is my purpose or not. I got to put food on the table, right?
Wow.
And then one day, you know what? I forgot about it. I was just like, I'm just going to trust God. At one point, I had to stop worrying because I was going nuts. Like, and I didn't know what decision to make. And once I stopped doing that, stopped worrying, I got an email one day from LinkedIn. And mind you, at that point, I wasn't even looking at my LinkedIn. But it was a message from a studio owner that said she was opening up a Pilates studio. This is early 2018.
Okay, so we're almost like, this is almost a year later.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been a while. And so, she just says, hey, I'd like to talk to you. I'm opening up a studio. And at first I didn't pay it any mind because I was so burnt out on this industry that I didn't trust anything. I didn't trust anybody.
Right.
And then she reached out to me a second time later on that week. And so I decided to chat with her. And the conversation was good. Like, she seemed, honest and earnest about what she was doing. And she said, let's just meet face to face, which I like face to face.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so I meet her at her studio, and I'm like, oh, it's a real studio. It's a legit studio. Like, because LinkedIn, anything online, it could be anybody. I don't know what I'm walking into. It was a nice studio, and we talked, and she goes, in 2 weeks we plan on being open. And I'm like, 2 weeks? Because I just see a lot of drywall, and I just
okay. So this was like a brand new facility that they were building, or renovating.
So they were working on, like, it's like it's in a shopping mart. So there's other businesses, but I'm like, I'm looking. She's telling me there's going to be 12 reformers in here, and like all of this and support, and I'm like, I know I've heard that before.
Right. Yeah. I was just going to say, like, just listening to what you just said before about knowing and researching, what lesson going into, if you were going to go accept this new venture, like, what lessons did you take from the first one?
Yes.
That you were like, did you have like a contract where you were like, I need you to sign your name on here because you said this is what's going to happen and I need this to happen.
Basically. So at this point, we're in early to mid 2018, so I'm like, okay, if this, this do or die right now at this point, in this career. Okay. And so I said, look, I've been going through X, Y, and Z. I didn't give her the details. I said, I need a written document with my pay, with what I'm going to be working a week, and I need you to highlight it. I need you to sign it. And I'm going to sign it. Like, it needs to be written
put your thumbprint and your blood type on it too.
She did. At first, she was kind of. I was like, listen, if we're not just gonna do this,
take it or leave it.
Right? We're not doing this.
It's not an option.
I need you to send me this in an email. So she does. She sends me this email. It documents and outlines, which I did never receive from the gym. Yeah. It outlined everything, what her expectations were from me, what I could expect from Nick. Like, it was line by line. I was like, why didn't I do this before?
Yeah. Well, like you live and you learn. You live and you learn. Exactly.
And so, it was amazing. It even talked to you about what level of instructor you are. Like, just all of these things that I had not had before. Right. And a start date, all of that, everything was written down. Like, what I was used to in corporate America was happening. And so, I'm I'm not going to leave this gym until I know.
Right, because, listen.
I'm not leaving anything else within it just because somebody has
promised. To chance. Right. Yeah. No. Yeah.
And so what I did was I came in and taught a few classes for them when they opened, just to see what it would be like, just to see what the paycheck would be like, to see if this was real. So I taught like a Saturday and Sunday class just to kind of see. And I got my first check from them like the following week, and I said, when do you need any more hours? Because I can just leave. I'm available for full time. It was double.
Wow.
What I had, anything I had even done at the gym for like half the time.
What?
And so, I mean, but literally, my husband was like, "Don't do anything that you get."
Yeah, he's like, let's take a step back.
Right,
Let's just make sure this is real.
Is this real? I mean, everything. I mean, I took that check to the bank. I made sure everything was legit. I mean, that's how. It makes you really stay on top.
It makes
of your
you.
game.
It makes you jaded. Yeah,
you're jaded. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
And so I did. I got my first check from them from this studio, and I did my little. Oh, here's my resignation. Thank you for the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
I was done with the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point, it had already gone through so many changes that I am pretty sure they didn't even know who I was.
Oh, wow.
Right? So I'm just like, and I was already losing clients because it was getting closer to May. So everybody was like, I'm going on vacation. I'm doing this. And I'm like, oh, I could see the numbers dwindling already anyway.
Yeah.
And so it was amazing. At first, they were like, we just need, maybe 9 hours here, 10 hours there. I mean, I ended up taking on a good majority of their classes for this studio. I did it for 3.5 years. It became I was able to really pivot and transition careers at that point.
Talk a little bit about even your growth as an instructor, what you're learning, what's working, what's not working.
Right.
Like, how do you, and I imagine that while you're doing this, you're fine tuning your skills. Like, what does that look like?
I look back on it now and I appreciate what I went through with the gym and the classical training. And I was classically trained, and just the difference is classical training with Pilates is you're learning the method from Joseph Pilates, all 52 exercises. You teach all those exercises in every class in a certain order. And it makes you really almost militant in how you teach. But you know the exercises, you know what muscles are fired up, like you know what it should look like. So when you come and teach, and I'm going from teaching 4 or 5 people to a studio that teaches 12 at a time. So, and I truly believe the only reason I was able to confidently go in and teach a studio of that many people was because of my experience of honing in my skill set here. And so it made me a more confident instructor. I would have never been able to just walk right into a studio of 12 people and do that,
teach,
right? 12 bodies, how to do this. And so...
and also, what is it doing to you physically, mentally? What is that doing?
I think for me mentally, I needed this change at this time.
Right. Okay.
To believe that this was a thing, but also I didn't even realize I was a good instructor until I transitioned, because I was at a gym. Everybody was fit at this gym. Yeah. So you got to think everybody's already fit. These people had already been doing Pilates for years. Yeah. With a certain instructor, I was just kind of coming in and taking over a few classes, versus me going to this new boutique studio where nobody had any training or experience in Pilates. And so it really helped me feel like I had grown professionally to be able to help all these people who had never accessed Pilates before in their lives. And over those 3 years, I did even more trainings. I did contemporary training. I did bar training. Like, I was able to really hone up and double up on all my skill set. So I feel like at this point, I feel like I could teach any fitness thing. Like, you can call it whatever and I'll go in and teach it. I'll figure it out. Yeah. Like, I'm going to figure it out.
You've built so much resilience from this journey, from these experiences that you've been through, that you know your value. Yeah. I'm listening to you and I'm like, oh, she knows she's worth it. This is how much I'm worth. And if you can't pay for that, unfortunately, that's the thing with when you're walking in your purpose. You know your value, you know what you're worth. And if people are not able to step up to that, you're okay with walking away.
I'm okay with work, and I'm in a place now in my career where I can. Like, I don't have to I went from like calling studios locally and begging for a Pilates job to now I'm like, I could go back to that gym and they couldn't afford me. They couldn't afford to even have me on their staff now. You know what I mean? Like, I'm that good, and it's not like a brag, or it's just,
it's the confidence.
Yeah, it's like, no, I've built I know what I bring to the table. I'm an excellent instructor. Like, and I always be like, Google my name for a Pilates instructor. Like, you can see the reviews. Like, I take time to really make sure I'm helping every single person. Honing
on your craft.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, you have a lower back issue, you're still going to be able to do my class. Yeah. You just had a baby, you're going to be able to do my class. Like, I make sure that I have enough knowledge and skill set that I can make sure that you have a great experience. Oh,
that's amazing. Yeah.
And I was really researching last night before, preparing for today, thinking skill versus passion. Right? Ah, yes. Anybody can develop a skill or be learned a skill. Like, I could have learned this, but you don't have to be good at it. Yeah. Right? I know a lot of instructors, I mean, and this is not to down anyone, they get their Pilates certification, but they're okay. Mm-hmm. They can teach it.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between this being your calling, your passion, and your purpose versus just anybody can learn anything.
Exactly.
But can you do it well? Like, is this your calling? And
yes.
I really feel like the way, this little girl from East Knoxville there's no reason for me to be here.
You're from East Knoxville.
Yes. It makes no sense. On paper, it makes no sense what I'm doing.
I love it.
It makes no sense.
Yes.
But for me, I always say, it's a God thing.
It is.
I don't know. It's a God thing.
I totally believe that purpose is divine. It is what God has put you on this earth to do. And, I talk to my listeners and I tell them a little bit about my journey and just finding that purpose. And the beautiful thing about purpose is that it can come at any point. At any time in your life, you can find your purpose. Yes. You're never too old. You're never too young to find your purpose. No. But I always struggled with confidence. Growing up, I just struggled with it. And to the point to where as of a couple of years ago, it was even put into my review at work. Just my confidence, right? Like, now I knew that what I was doing, I loved what I was doing. I'm in HR and I loved it. Yeah. And I had to really figure out, like when I was working towards my purpose, finding what my purpose was, I had to really figure out what is it about HR? What's in HR that just speaks to me, right? Like, what is it? I have done multiple things before. I was even in legal for 6 years, which that's not for me, But I was like, there was something about HR, but it's not everything in HR. What is that thing that like speaks to me? And it was the engagement piece. It was the piece where I did employee relations. So it was the interaction, the supporting the employee, no matter what they were going through, really knowing their story and helping them work towards whatever that goal was. And I was like, that's what I like. That is my passion. When you talk about passion, I was like, that is my passion. And once I found that out, and then I was like, okay, I want to do something that's going to allow me to walk in that purpose every day. My confidence totally changed. Like, everything about my confidence, people were like, wait, Harli had a confidence issue? Yeah, like, right. Are you serious? And I'm like, oh. And I was like, because when you're walking in your purpose, the confidence is there.
Like, because I would never look at you and think you have confidence issue.
Trust me, when I tell you, yes, call my boss.
Oh my
His name
God.
is Solomon.
Oh my God.
And yeah, it was literally, I want to say a couple of times, and somebody said that too recently, said that to me. They were like, Harli has a, they were like, not this Harli. Right. And they were like, I know, because, and I told them, I said, that's because I wasn't in my purpose then. Right. And so now that I am, I know this is what I'm supposed to be. I know this is what I was put here to do. Right. So it's not a question of failing. It's not a question of, yes, ultimately, would I be doing this even if I wasn't getting paid for it? Absolutely.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
wow.
So when you talk about Pilates and your journey through that, I can hear the passion. Oh my God. I can hear the purpose behind it for you to just stay at it and then know your worth. And that's the beauty about purpose is that you get to a point where you're like, oh no, I know my worth. Yeah. I know my value. I know what I bring to the table.
Yes.
So.
And it takes some people, like you said, how you didn't always have it. I wasn't always a confident instructor. That whole first year with the gym and even transitioning into this 12 reformer studio. Yes. And you know what it is when you're instructor, like they could see it on me.
Oh yes.
Like they could see that lack of, that
confidence.
It's funny because that's the first thing she said because they have evaluations too for instructors. And she was like the main comment from our members is, like, they know you know it, but
you're not showing it. Yeah.
And after that, like, at first I was like, You know, like,
yeah.
How dare they? You know?
I felt the same way too because my boss, my VP told me when they were speaking to that confidence piece, she was like, Harley, it doesn't matter who's in the room with you, whether it's the VP, whether it's the CEO. At the end of the day, they don't know what you know. You're the subject matter expert, right? So when you're in that room, you're already the expert.
Right.
So now you just have to speak to it, right? And I was like, but I was so blinded by who they were, not really having confidence in what I did, my value. That yes, that they could tell.
Yeah.
They could, like you said, they can see it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So, holy moly.
Wow.
Okay, so I want to ask you, how does Pilates play into your lifestyle? So you spoke about your journey. Like, how is your lifestyle as a result of Pilates?
I mean, I think in spite of all of the hardship of transitioning careers and all of that in the beginning, and I listen to Steve Harvey a lot talk about.
Steve Harvey.
Oh my God, and I know people feel different ways, but his journey into just where he is now really inspires me. And he always talks about it's not about how you start, it's how you finish. And so, I used to really harp on, oh my God, that beginning of this, but nothing worth having is going to come easy. I could have easily quit Pilates a long time ago when I wrote up, this is not working, I'm going back to sit at a desk. And, and I was feeling undervalued because, I just didn't feel like I was meant to just sit and get coffee for people.
Yeah.
Right? Like I said, I was a creative. I was meant to do more. I wasn't given that opportunity. This gave me the opportunity to do that. Like, I've met people I would have never met before. I've touched lives I would have never touched before. I was able to be a stay-at-home mom for 3.5 years.
Wow.
Like 3.5 years. Like, I mean, I would have never been able to do that if I was working my 8 to 5. Right? How would I have ever done that? I would have been overworked, exhausted, and I was just determined to be the mom that I wanted to be, and I was able to do that. In spite of how hard it was in the beginning, it got better. I mean, it's so better to now I'm like, I own my own Pilates business. Like, I am my business now, right?
Wow.
Like,
okay. So what does that mean exactly? Do you go to people? Do you have your own equipment? What is that? What is that?
So
tell us.
How do we do this?
Yes.
So like for me, like, because I've gotten to a certain point where I'm like professionally, right? Like I've gotten to the point where I was like, I'm so good. Well, I've honed my skills to the point where I don't have to ask for Pilates jobs anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I'm basically, I'm a consultant. I'm a contractor.
Okay.
So if, your studio needs an instructor, you can call me, ask me what my rate is, and I can see what my schedule is, right? To work for you. Also, I have my virtual studio. So I'm still working on that, building that up, my own clientele up for that. And just building it into something that it's a big entity for me outside of just working at studios. Like, building up the blog again, helping women and stay motivated through their fitness and wellness journeys as mothers with little kids running around, taking care of themselves, like building it to just more than just, oh, I'm a Pilates instructor. Yes, in one aspect, but I also do this, and this. Like, my goal is to provide a safe haven for women to learn how to keep themselves healthy while they're doing this whole momhood thing, right? Because you lose yourself.
You do.
Right? You lose yourself, and one day you look and you don't even know who you are anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, this kid looks great. And that's great. We take care of them, everything, but how are you feeling on the inside and the outside?
Yeah.
And so my goal now at this point with my business is to really focus in on taking care of other moms and helping them take care of themselves. But yeah, I mean, at this point, I'm an independent contractor, so I mean, there's no more, oh my God, this studio is only going to give me, no. If you want me to come teach a class for you, this is my rate, because this is what I bring to the table, and you already know that.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, you already know that. So there's no more I'm negotiate, like, this is it. And I'm just glad that I would have never gotten to that point had I stopped.
Yeah.
And so I'm still able to work hours kind of what I want. I still have flexibility in my schedule to be the mom I want to be. If I want to show up and give my kid lunch throughout the day, I can still do that. And I just, again, I would never have been able to do that before.
Yeah.
The way I was working before, I would have never been able to do that. And I'm able to get my creativity out there again in a way where it was kind of stifled before. So, I mean, if it's worth it for you, stick with it. And if you have the support, stick with it.
Yeah. It's really important. We mentioned this earlier, but it's really important to have that community and that support system that is going to help you, propel you forward, inspire you. You know, I when I started this, first person I told was my husband, and then, you know, of course I told the kids. And it's so amazing as I was going through this journey to start this podcast, like how I made sure to involve all of them, and how my friends, my close circle were just kind of like there for me every step of the way. And then it's amazing how I was like, I've never done this before, baby Jesus. So I need you to show me what to do, because I'm flying blind here.
Right.
And it's like I take one step, and then he sends somebody along. He was like, this is what you need to do next. I take that step, he sends somebody else along. And it's just been crazy how I haven't even knocked on the door yet. You know how you go to knock on the door and then you realize the door is actually opening already?
Yeah.
That's exactly how my journey has been. And it's because of my support system. It's because of that community that's around me. It's like I'll talk to somebody, and next thing you know, they're sending me a reference, or they're sending me somebody, and I'm like, and then they're like, have you thought about this? No, I hadn't thought of, okay. Then there's somebody else that comes along, and it's so amazing. So, you know, you talk about your husband, you talk about, you know, you even though your daughter is a baby, but what you're doing for her, the legacy that you are leaving for her, I don't care how little she is, she sees that, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, my kids, they're like, Mom, what's the next subject you're going to talk about on the podcast? And I think I'm going to be on your podcast one day. My daughter wants to do these little mini episodes where she can come on and just talk about like her dog. How much she loves her dog, right?
So
and so, but it's like, wow, like just having that support system around you, how impactful it is.
It is.
So
because on the days you don't feel like it, on the days you don't feel like it's working, on the days you feel like, why am I even doing this? What's the point?
Is this going to work?
Yeah.
Is how long can,
Right.
you know?
Those are the people that are going to keep you going.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's
like
important.
my son will come in here and he's like, I'll be, you know, because I still have my corporate job. I haven't, you know, walked away from that yet. And he'll come in and he'll be like, okay, so you're working until like 5-6 o'clock, and then you're going to transition into podcast mode. Yep. He's like, Mom, I don't understand how you do it. You know, and I'm just kind of like, I'm doing it because this is what I have to do for now.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you said, it's not an option to quit.
Right. No. I've got to build it. Somebody's got to build it.
Exactly.
I mean,
if you build it, they will come.
Right. It won't be like that forever. And that's
It's
what
not.
It won't be like that forever.
Yeah.
But man, when you're doing something for yourself though, why not work hard? We work hard for everybody else.
Yeah. Oh, look at you dropping that
I'm
wisdom.
just saying. We work hard for everybody else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You work hard for that. Like, you know, you have that annual bonus at work.
Yeah.
You're like, oh yes, I have to get leading so I can get that bonus, right? But are you working like that for yourself?
Right.
Like you said.
Right.
Are you? Because the bonus is down the line, your business is successful.
Yeah.
That's your bonus.
And it's for your family life,
It is.
right? Like,
That legacy.
At the end of the day, like it starts off as one thing, but then
It grows
it
into
grows
it evolves
into something bigger.
Yeah.
And it's just like, that's the important part. So
yes.
The support, that's probably the most important thing.
Right.
Support.
Absolutely.
Tell
us, where do you see yourself 5 years from now?
Oof.
What is the goal? So that we can like support you
Right.
and watch you on this journey and say, oh my gosh, you know, she came on the show 5 years ago and she said she was going to do that. And she did it.
That's so fun. You know, that question used to really throw me back in my
Oh,
corporate days.
listen. You'd be like, I don't know.
I don't know. But hopefully I still have a job.
Yeah.
But, you know, and like we were talking about kind of evolving, I feel like I've already done so much of that. The last 5 years, like, I mean, my daughter's going to be 5 at the end of this month.
Oh, yay. Happy birthday.
So I've been teaching Pilates the whole time she's been earthside.
Oh,
Like, the whole
wow.
time.
Yeah.
And so, and each year I've gotten better, stronger, more confident. I've done more things. Like this year, I was able to facilitate or co-facilitate the Black women in Pilates in Alpharetta this year.
Wow.
I mean, I was the instructor for that. I was able to do, I mean, it was an amazing event. Oh my God, we just really had fun, and I was able to bring Pilates to a population of women who never otherwise,
Really
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's not really Pilates is not something that's been inclusive for a long time.
Right.
And it's
Oh,
really,
and tell us a little bit, sorry to cut you off, but tell us a little bit about the diversity in Pilates, what you have seen.
Yes. So for me, like when I started, even when I did my training, like there may have been two or three of us that even looked like me. Everybody, I mean, it's been a primarily white dominated field, woman dominated field for, I mean, since its inception in the 1930s.
Wow.
And so, you know, these boutique studios and just word of mouth, social media is really helping to help fill that, like really fill that void of just lack of inclusivity and all of that and diversity. And so, one thing I really love is that they get to see, other Black women get to see another Black woman doing this. And so, like, oh, somebody has a body similar to mine doing this? Because all the videos and training videos that I had to watch, nobody had a body that looked like me.
Exactly.
Nobody had thick thighs. Nobody had, you know, like, I'm like, their hair wasn't like mine, their body wasn't like, they didn't even in their teaching and their cueing, I'd be like, what is she talking about?
Oh,
She's talking about making circles on a what?
That is powerful.
You know what I'm saying? Like, what are you talking about? Like, even with my cueing, I make sure I'm like, I took that cueing and I do think it's valuable, but I make it relatable. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, put your feet on the foot bar like a bird on a perch. Well, you know, if you're in the hood, you don't really see a lot of birds on perches. I mean, I'm just saying. You know what I mean?
Birds don't come to the hood. Right. No, I'm just playing.
Like, what are you talking? You know, some of the visual cueing.
Yeah, people are like, what? What did she just say? What is that? And so then you're looking at the person next to you. You're like, oh.
Or I don't want anybody to look at me and I'm speaking in where they're like, honey, you don't talk like that. You know what I mean? Like, so I keep it very classy when I teach, very professional, but also I bring that relatable aspect to it because Pilates at the end of the day should be fun. Like, you should enjoy it. Yes, you should take it seriously because it is a serious method, and you should. There is a respect issue with the instructor that I keep in, but also, again, people need that relatable.
Yes.
You know, they need that.
Yeah.
They need to feel like this instructor is not from Mars.
Right.
You know, and that's how I felt. Like, I didn't relate to any of my master trainers.
Yeah.
Any of them.
Yeah.
And so I really hope that people can see me either in person or online, wherever they see me and go, oh my God, either I want to do that or I want to take a Pilates class, right?
Yeah.
Like, whether it's with me or not, but at least they know that there's an option for them out there, you know?
I have to say I was quite pleased that when I took Pilates class, it was you teaching it. I was like, because I feel like I've been to some very diverse gyms in my past because I'm pretty much a gym rat, but I can't say that I've seen an African American instructor before you. Yeah. So that's brought joy to my heart. I know, and to know that you are literally breaking the glass ceiling in what you're doing is amazing.
Because that's not why I started. I had no idea that was a thing.
No, but that's why it's so important that you walk in that purpose because that purpose serves multiple purposes actually.
Sure.
So that's amazing.
Wow.
So if somebody is looking to reach out to you, get in touch with you, they're interested, they're like, you know what, I want to hear more about Pilates. I want to figure this thing out. Okay, Sherelle talked about this Pilates thing. So how do they reach out to you? Where's the best place to find you? How can they engage with you? How do they find you?
Okay, so if you're local, you can reach me at any of the body bars that are local. I do teach in person there at the Body Bar Studios,
which is where I took the class that whooped my behind.
That's how we met.
Yes.
And then also I have my own virtual studio right now. Everything is at Sensibly Sherelle.
Okay.
So that Instagram, Twitter, Facebook at Sensibly Sherelle.
Okay.
Because I believe in bringing sensibility to your daily life. And so you're going to find out I have links to everything, classes that are coming up.
Awesome.
My blog where I talk about lifestyle stuff, motherhood, all of that. Everything is going to be on there. Check it out. And just follow the journey.
Awesome. Well, oh my goodness, time goes by fast when you're having fun. Of course, can't believe it. We are at the end of the show, but Sherelle, it was so amazing to have you here. You have an amazing story that applies to, mothers as we are struggling to figure out this thing called life, and as we are taking care of everybody around us. It's really important, and I'm so glad, Sherelle, you were here and you spoke to that, but it's really important that we take time out for ourselves. We spend so much time taking care of people around us that we always end up putting ourselves on the back burner. That's what we do. That is what we do. And for you to come and talk about your journey, finding out that you were expecting, having a child, wanting to see how you can find that thing called balance that we all struggle with. It's amazing for you to have even gone on this journey and found your purpose at the same time. So I think that's amazing. I hope everyone was able to hear this pod, and maybe it got now you're thinking about how do I work on that self-care piece, right? Because what does that look like for me? And it's not one size fits all, right?
No,
like we said, Pilates was what spoke to you. Right. It could be something else for somebody. It could be something as simple as taking a bubble bath at the end of the day. Yes. Okay, closing that door to that bathroom, locking it.
That's the important part.
Oh my gosh. Don't forget to lock it. Okay. Turn that little thing. Locking it. That could be your self-care. I don't care what it is. Just do it. Find what it is and do it, even if it's for 5 minutes. Lock yourself in the pantry because there's food in there. And grab your little snack and say, I'm gonna be in here for 5 minutes. Okay. So Thank you so much for listening, for tuning in. Remember, we are dropping episodes every Monday, new episodes. We are going to provide in the show notes some information on how to find Miss Sherelle. So if you want to reach out, if you want to engage, if you're like, you know what, maybe I'm going to give this Pilates thing a whirl. I'm going to give it a whirl and see how that works out. Please make sure that you reach out to her. And of course, follow, like, share the show. And guess what? You guys have just been inside the bubble. Don't forget to also subscribe to the pod. So the link is in the show notes as well. And the link is in the bio in our Instagram account. So guys, this has been amazing. Thank you so much for tuning in. And remember, there is purpose in your story. See you guys later. I hope you enjoyed our show today. Hit the subscribe button and share this pod with your family, with your friends, with your girlfriends, and follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Inside the Bubble HG. Keep the conversation going. Drop us a heart emoji and engage with us. We would love to hear from you. New episodes are dropping every Monday on your podcast streaming platforms. And remember, there's purpose in your story.